Good afternoon, Britannia, and hello to the rest of the world. Welcome to 2CTV and the first live update of the day. Let's talk about what happened yesterday in London. Another example of intimidation and bullying by the mob rule, which, well, created the mob rule mentality, which is the far left and Islamists in London, this time in North London, Finchley, outside a cinema, a Phoenix cinema, that was screening a film about the hostages and the 7th of October. Things kicked off completely. The Islamists decided to put pressure on the cinema to cancel the screening and, of course, anybody who was attending. But the Jewish community and the patriotic Londoners decided to stand up to the hateful march, and the Islamists, they decided to march towards them, and of course they finally got the police to do something useful. Let's get on with the show. Alright, anyway, everybody in the live chat, we're going to get your reaction as usual. We already have almost 700 people watching. Make sure to click like. Let's talk about what happened. So, as I said, Phoenix cinema in North London, Finchley, decided to screen this film. And one of the situations we had was that the mainstream media reporting on this was absolutely disgusting. And we are going to talk about the mainstream media. We're going to talk about the BBC, especially BBC London, because their coverage was extremely biased. But the reality was there were a huge group of people who decided to go to obviously watch that, but also to defend the cinema and to defend Jewish people. So we had Union flags, we had Israeli flags, Iranian flags, everybody united together. And when the Islamists were there to disrupt and to cause chaos, the Jewish community in London decided to actually stay together and stand up to these idiots. And of course, we had a situation where the police was forced to actually do their job properly. Let's go to the first video that we have from London. This is what you have to do now in places like in London. You can't just follow the orders from the police anymore. You have to stand up for your country and, of course, in defense of your values and your people, those who believe in freedom and life. So if the Jewish people and Londoners and patriotic Londoners were just listening to the police and stay in their cages as usual, in their pens, then the Islamists were going to fully take over. They decided to march towards them. They decided to chase them out. And of course, they finally put pressure on the police to start arresting them. And the police had to, at the end, remove the Islamists from the scene. And this sends a good message to everybody else across the Western world who are facing similar problems. Let's go to the second clip. You can see the fear and the pressure when you look at the faces of the Metropolitan Police officers, because they didn't expect that. Until now, they simply try to keep the far left and Islamists happy because they're scared of the backlash. So what they end up doing, as I said, they usually put their patriots and the Jewish Londoners and Christians into cages. Stay in your place because it's easier to scare them off. Because usually they are the counter-protesters with the Israeli flags, the Union flags. The police are able to be harsh on them because they know they respect the rule of law. So they say, stay here, stay in your cage. But they are absolutely terrified of the far left and Islamists. This time, we have those who are flying the Israeli flags, the Iranian flags, and the Union flags, walking and marching together, side by side, towards the Islamist protesters to make sure they are defending the cinema that was doing the screening, and of course everybody else in Finchley, which is a hugely Jewish area as well, and Iranian as well. And the police were freaking out. That's why the police had to, for the first time actually, go hard on the Islamists and forcefully remove them from the area and arrest a couple of them, and of course force them to go back to the underground stations and everything else. Let's go to the next clip. That was a sent-off where they made sure that the Islamists and the far left were forced to go back to the train station and go home, and then they started waving and saying goodbye, bye-bye, everybody get out. That was lovely. The British Londoners are finally waking up slowly, and of course this is just one example. For the first time we're seeing a pushback. Of course we're going to have the 1st of June, which will be, is it next week? Yeah, just over, yeah, next week, next weekend, which of course the rally has been organised there by Tommy Robinson. On the 1st of June in Westminster. Of course, I will be there to make a speech. There will be a few other freedom fighters as well who will be joining us. Make sure to come to London if you can, from wherever you are, because this is, it's not just about London. It's not even just about England. This is about the whole of the Western civilization. Whether you're Christian, whether you're Jew, or whether you call yourself a moderate, secular, westernized Muslim, or whatever you are, if you are culturally British, if you're culturally Western, and you believe in Christian values as a fundamental structure of what created Western Europe, and then of course North America and elsewhere in Australia and other places, we have to stand together, and this is how you do it. Londoners are finally showing the world how it's done. Another small victory for freedom fighters and all those who believe in life and freedom. So tomorrow, of course, another Saturday, we're going to have another hate march in central London. Of course, 2CTV will be there, despite all the death threats, because apparently they are so peaceful that they send me death threats every Saturday. So peaceful. They are so peaceful that during these marches on Saturdays, they don't actually talk about peace. They talk about ceasefire. They talk about Israel surrendering. They don't talk about peace. They don't talk about life. They, in fact, proudly chant and say that we would rather choose death over this life because they think something better is waiting for them on the other side. Good luck with that. So, we got that to deal with. And then, of course, the situation with the Finchley incident, when the far left tried to, with the Islamists, create intimidation. The whole point was to do cancel culture. The whole point was to force the cinema to close down the whole thing, to not screen a film about the hostages and the October the 7th. Londoners said no. And we also have this, there's a few seconds of this, and I'm going to talk about the BBC, because the disgusting, biased BBC's vile coverage needs to be called out after this.
Bring our people home, bring our girls home, our boys home, our babies home, our Holocaust survivors home. Bring them home now. Together we will win, always.
So, let's talk about the corporate media, and let's talk about the BBC. British Bashing Corporation. Alright, these guys decided to do a report last night after what happened in Finchley. A cinema screening a film, Islamists trying to shut it down, and patriotic Londoners and the Jews and Christians together fought against them, forced them to leave the area, defended the cinema. Right? That's a summary. According to BBC London, BBC News, the Islamists were there to hold a vigil, a respectful vigil. Yeah. And apparently, it was in fact the Jews who created chaos. Let's go to the BBC.
Now to some other stories in the headlines. Pro-Israel protesters celebrated tonight after chasing away pro-Palestinian supporters who were holding a vigil outside the Phoenix Cinema in East Finchley. The vigil was in protest at a film about the October 7th attacks. Earlier, the cinema was daubed in graffiti. Supporters of Israel danced in the street into this evening.
Sorry, what? The pro-Israelis in London, not the Jews, pro-Israelis, chased away the pro-Palestinians, not pro-Hamas, not Islamists, pro-Palestinians, while the Palestinian ones were supporters of Palestine, were holding a vigil, guys. They were holding a vigil. These evil pro-Israeli people in Finchley, how dare they chase away an innocent, peaceful, loving pro-Palestinians for holding a vigil. Holding a vigil. They were literally targeting the cinema. They spray painted the whole thing. I'm going to find the pictures. Look at this. Look what they did. Look literally what they did to this cinema. It gets worse. The whole thing gets worse. They were trying to target every single person there. They don't talk about peace. They talk about death and misery because that's what they love. And when we give them what they want, when the IDF take out their leaders, when the helicopters crash in Iran and we celebrate, people say, well, how dare you? This is mean. They lost their lives. This is what they want. They want to die. They keep saying they don't like this life. They keep saying they prefer death. So let's celebrate it. They want to be celebrated. These are the images we have from the cinema. Look, Phoenix Cinema. Their peaceful vigil, apparently, according to BBC, spray painted the actual... What sort of a vigil targets cinemas?